Good day, my friends. This is My New York Company with Yura Dashevsky. I guess it's the only bilingual online show coming out of Brooklyn, New York, where so many people speak beautiful Russian and so many people speak beautiful English, but very few of them dare to do what I do. Speak both languages and expect your mercy, because I can make mistakes in both languages. My guest today, I hope you understand it's a joke. There will be no mistakes. It will be perfectly executed. I had the best coaches, best trainers, best observers of my honing the skills, which I'm demonstrating for a relatively short time. My guest today, it's very important. My guest today is Inna Vernikov, Esquire. She's a lawyer. She's a Republican candidate for New York City Council from the 48th district, Brooklyn, New York, the area where I live. We had one program with her on the radio, freedomfmradio.com out of Brooklyn, New York, in Russian, and now we decided to make one in English a few days after that. Inna, Miss Vernikov, how are you? How are you?
Hi, Yura. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me on. I think that the audience will have a lot of mercy on you, especially considering that you had so much mercy on me, you and your audience, last time when I, spoke Russian on the radio.
So you are going into the lion's den. You're a Republican. You're a young woman, if I may say so. There is no discrimination, I hope, in my saying so, but you are fantastic in a way that I must tell you, you know that. I asked you yesterday when we were setting up with today's program, would you mind me wearing the hat, saying that so much hatred is poured on the word MAGA, which is just make America great again. And you said, absolutely not. Yeah, I absolutely do not mind. I don't think that people... Don't let me put words into your mouth. Tell me what you think about putting people together, what President Biden promised us so eloquently and did not fulfill so far.
I mean, yeah, I think that, I think everyone should have a choice. I think everyone should be able to express whatever opinions they want. You should be able to wear whatever hat you want. You should be able to support whatever candidate you want in an election, whether it's Republican, Democrat, and you should not be canceled for your opinions. Like we see, happening in the last couple of years, like we saw happen in the last election. And what's been happening, our country, our cities have been so polarized, right? If you supported President Trump, you were canceled, you lost friends, you lost jobs. Completely unacceptable. And I frankly don't see President Biden as someone who can bring us together, because as you can see what's going on now with the Democrat politicians, all they're doing is, fanning the flames of racism. They're trying to divide our country and they're trying to divide our people. The media is doing the same thing. They're trying to divide, so I don't see his promises coming true. Which was to bring our people and our country together. This is supposed to be the United States of America, not the divided States of America. And right now, I think we are more divided than ever.
Can you tell us, our listeners, what brought you to this point in your life? As you see the arc of your life, how you grew up, how you came from the Soviet Union as a little girl, what your parents told you. I don't know about your family a great deal, but tell us, please, what brought you to this point where you decided to be the only Republican, a woman, a young woman, going into this whole deal of getting elected in the most democratic city in the world?
Yes, sure. I think it's exactly that. I think, I came to this country at 12 years old, like you said, from the former Soviet Union. Even though I was basically a child, I understand exactly, from family members and from living there and remembering some things when I was little, I understand what it was like. From my family to live in a country like the Soviet Union with communism, where you were not allowed to say what you wanted to say, where you were not allowed to practice your religion, right? And, I think a lot of, I'm Jewish, a lot of Jewish families fled to America, and not just from the Soviet Union, from other countries, right? They fled for freedom. And what I see happening, right now in this country, and just so you know, it was never my dream to be a politician. I always dreamt to be a lawyer. So this isn't like something that I planned my whole life. I'm an attorney. I have my own practice for almost 7 years now. I'm happily doing this. So I'm not trying to be a politician because I'm looking for a job. I genuinely see, this country being destroyed by the Democrat Party, by our politicians. And I feel like someone who's coming from a country like the former Soviet Union, where we didn't have freedoms, someone who came here and really embraced the American dream, right? Someone who built myself on my own. And I feel like this country gave me everything. And it's my duty now to give back and fight for this country, for the American dream, so that our children can have a future here. Because what's happening right now, it's horrible. And I feel like we're losing this country. So that's why I decided to step up. I've always been a fighter. I've always been a fighter for my community. I've been very active, on the anti-Semitism front. I've done a lot of pro bono work. I know it's not, people might not know about it because I don't always post photos of everything that I've done in my life. But people generally, friends and people in the community generally knows me as someone who's been out there, speaking out and fighting for my community. So I've been approached to run for office several times before. In the last few years, I've never really seriously considered it because I love my practice and I love the law. But right now, I cannot let stand what's happening in our city and in our country. What we saw this past summer. This is not something that we can let stand. Stores and private properties being looted, our police being defunded, the press vilifying the police. Criminals are being protected while civilians, are not. And very dangerous times. It almost feels like we're going back to the 70s, even though I didn't live in this country in the 70s. But that's what it feels like. So I simply feel that I need to stand up, and I know that I can make a difference.
Before we delve into some issues that are more concrete and community related, I wanted to ask your opinion about the certain trend that I see in mainstream media today, in the poisonous mainstream media, that's trying to portray Russian Americans who live here, who voted for Donald Trump, as someone who is subversive, who's trying to break the trust of American people in the government. In our government, that the Russians do that. They brought this trust to government from the Soviet Union, and so they're trying to sow the seeds of discord here in this country, very much following the advice and counsel of Vladimir Putin. As if we Russians are reading Russian websites, we're looking to influence American elections to benefit Russia. I read it. It makes my blood boil. Voice of America is doing things like this. They started the whole propaganda campaign in Russian language against the Russians, Russian Americans who went to demonstrate the unity of our Republican side in front of Capitol on January 6th. Of course, the breach of Washington, the building, the Capitol building, was something that shouldn't have happened. But we see so much information that kind of was there. It's cameras. It's people from Antifa, people from BLM who were there, who filmed, who went on CNN to Anderson Cooper to show the material proudly. And now we're told that there will be no investigation about this and no investigation about that. But is it true about the Russians? Are we really so, insensitive to what America is? What's your experience in the Russian community?
Look, I don't think it's just about the Russians. 80 million people voted for President Trump, right? And the media, and I've said this before, and I think we talked about it last time, the media has no journalistic integrity whatsoever. They are not reporting the news. And I think it's been like that for a while, but especially with President Trump being elected, the media has not been reporting the news. They have been just, it's been all about their own narrative. right? And honestly, I think that the big tech companies like Facebook, I mean, they need to become part of the Democratic Party because they're literally rallying for a candidate. They are not reporting the news, right? We had a Twitter block a New York Post article about President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, right? And a lot of people would have not voted for President Biden had they seen that article. They completely censored that, right? And that obviously had tremendous influence on our election. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. And by the way, not just the media, but our politicians, I believe, in my opinion, are punishing, our areas where the Russian community is populating certain areas. A lot of it is in my district, right? I think about 65% of my district is Russian-speaking Jews, Russian speakers, and they have majorly supported President Trump. And what we're getting now is things like homeless shelters being placed in our district. It's not just being placed in our district, but it is being placed in our district and in our communities, right next to our schools, a block away. If you talk about the shelter, the homeless shelter that's being built or they're trying to build on 100 Neptune Avenue, it is right across. It is a block or two away from Bay Academy, right, where children are going to go to school.
My daughter went there.
Right. I think my sister went there. We look, we have to be compassionate to the homeless. We have to figure out what the solution is to the homeless problem, and it's not going to be figured out in a day, and no one has a solution right now, right? But we also can't place these shelters, congregate shelters, where, by the way, there's going to be like 17 people in one room, 17 men in one room, and 170 of them all clumped into one building, right? We cannot have that be right next to our children and be smack in the middle of the neighborhood where property values are going to tremendously decrease. Now, we should have homeless shelters, right? These people need to go somewhere. They need a home. They need a safe place to go. But why place them in these areas, right? And I think that I see this as a form of punishment, right? A punitive response to conservatives who voted for President Trump. I mean, I don't see another reason. There are other places that are not populated, like government buildings next to where I go to court, where we can place these homeless shelters. Why do we have to specifically put these shelters in an area where it's going to decrease property values, where people, bought homes and are not going to lose everything? That's not the way to solve this issue.
There was one community meeting, I understand, if I qualify it properly, where there was a conversation about it, and you were the only one who voiced those concerns among all the politicians who came over to rally for the building of the shelter, right?
Correct. I mean, that's why, I'm a Republican candidate. And the reason why I'm so different from the Democrats is because I'm not afraid to say what needs to be said. I'm not afraid to fight for the middle class, right? Yes, everyone was fighting for the homeless and everyone was saying that we need to be compassionate to the homeless. But no one dare mention that we also need to fight for the children who are going to go to school a block away and for the middle class homeowners, right, who live all around these neighborhoods. So yeah, again, I'm not afraid to say what needs to be said, and I'm not afraid to fight for the middle class, and all of them are.
And you need to get there so you'll be able to do stuff about it, not just to say things about it. So you will be able to act.
I'm here to rock the boat. I'm not doing this. I could just stay and continue practicing law, right? I'm not doing this. I don't need a job. I'm doing this because we need a voice to speak up. And, the Democrats are afraid, right? They're afraid to say what needs to be said. We need someone who can say the right things and who can fight for the people.
And make things happen.
Political consequences.
Of any good program, if we have at least 50% done of what we plan to do with our lives privately, even if we achieve 50%, that we can kind of die happy people. Let us know what areas are included in your 48th district, so people would know where to look.
It's Manhattan Beach, Brighton Beach, Sheepshead Bay, parts of Midwood, parts of Luna Park, and parts of Trump Village.
And you are the only Republican candidate who's running.
I am the only Republican candidate. I'm endorsed by the Brooklyn Republican Party, and the Brooklyn Conservative Party.
It's fantastic. Listen, what brought you to this point? Tell us about your. Where did you go to school? You traveled to Israel on a program, right? That is a RAGE program.
Oh yeah, sure. I was
Just
part
just
of
give them a little
REACH.
bit airtime. It's just an important program.
Yeah, I was part of the RAGE program, which is Russian American Jewish Experience. I mean, I'm still kind of part of the RAGE program. It is a great, great program. It's been around for years. They educate Russian Jews about Judaism, about Israel, about Zionism. They take kids, teenagers, college students on trips to Israel and also to Europe. And it's really a great experience. I also volunteered for them in different capacities. I was a matchmaker once. I did event planning with them. I mean, they've been around for a while. It's a great program. They're still around. Rabbi Katzin is, heading the program, and there are other great, great rabbis. So, anyone who wants to participate should contact Rebecca Salman. She's the program director. Um, yeah, what was your question?
No, where did you go to school? Where did you study? Where did you become a? You were a JD, right?
Yeah, so I went to Baruch College here in New York City, and I went to Florida for law school. I have a Juris Doctorate, but I'm actually an ESQ. I'm actually an Esquire, so I have my obviously my law license.
American Jews are often faced a very inconvenient question, and I'm about to ask you the same question, except with the Russian twist on it, because American Jews are often accused by anti-Semites of double loyalty. We talk about Israel with great love. We talk about America with great love. And we talk about Russia because we came from Russia, and we cannot just discount the experience that we gained there. And our families obviously gained theirs through many, many years of intimidation and discrimination. How do we answer to things like this? Because I don't feel double loyalty. I love Israel, I love America, and I love Russia as a country that taught me a lot. And the longer I live, the more I understand that I should not cut the parts of me that made me what I am. I'm not saying I'm loyal to Putin. I'm not saying I'm loyal to whoever becomes the next president of Israel. I'm not even loyal to. Okay, I'll stop there. I'm pretty loyal. But in the United States, I feel this country. I have it in my heart. I do I do things that I think make me more American than I was yesterday. Every day I try to be more conservative, more appreciative of the country. I cannot see if we deserve such an accusation that we have a dual or triple loyalty to our, or like we Jews are so rich always. We like have more loyalties than anybody else. What do you say about it? Is it a kind of imaginary thing, or?
I think that the notion of dual loyalty when it comes to the Jews is the oldest anti-Semitic trope, right? So I don't know if you remember, but Congresswoman Ilhan Omar once was under fire for tweeting something like Jews have dual loyalty
That's right.
to Israel, right? And other people, it is such a hypocrisy and double standard because in America, everyone comes from somewhere else, right? And so some people love countries where they come from, right? That doesn't mean that they can't love America too. To us, Israel is it holds a special place in our hearts as Jews. We understand why it's so important to support Israel. It's pathetic and ridiculous to say that we can't support America just because we also support Israel. I don't think they say that about any other religion or nationality. So I think that if anything, it's anti-Semitic.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with you 100%. And you cannot take pasta and pizza from Italians. You cannot take strudels from Germans. You cannot. I mean, 60% of Americans, if you ask them, I read it in some CIA fact book from the 80s. It was 60% of Americans, if you ask them where they come from, and people not always know where they came from because life here is very intense. It's hard to imagine. I mean, Russia got some taste of it after becoming a sort of capitalist country. But life here is very intense, and not too many people, very good people, know where they came from. But a lot of people identify themselves as coming from being of German extraction. So it's interesting. We always thought about the United States before we came here. It's mostly kind of people who think that they're British. I mean, the white population. But it turned out it's not so, and there are historical roots for that. What do you think about the protecting the Constitution on the level of local level? So protecting Constitution is very important. People want to change the amendments. They want to change the articles of the Constitution. The government, the Biden administration in particular. There is a concept of a living, breathing Constitution where they talk about changing the law according, and even the brighter people say that we should amend the laws because there was no radio then, there was electricity then, there was no AR-15 then, there was a lot of things were absent. But do we have to change the Bible, say, or the Old Testament for this, or Torah, or if somebody believes in Quran, so they would change Quran as well because there was no airplanes at the time or running water. I mean, running water, that's arguable. But do you have an idea about being a conservative and Republican at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't think we can compare the Constitution to the Bible or the Torah because, right, people who believe in the Torah and the Bible believe that it was given, by God, and you cannot change the words that God gave us. That being said, I am more of an originalist, so I'm a Justice Scalia fan. And, obviously as a conservative, I believe that we need to stick to the law. And, it's very convenient that the Democrats might want to change that because, it will suit them better. But that's the whole point, right? We were given a constitution, we were given the law, and we need to do everything we can to protect it. And, right now, what the Democrats are trying to do is, I believe, unconstitutional, which is pack the Supreme Court. Right? Because that's the only way they feel like they're going to accomplish their goals. Because if they pack the Supreme Court, I mean, we're done, right? Like, we're done here. And that is unconstitutional. Packing the Supreme Court is something that that they did in Venezuela, right? Just to accomplish their goals, accomplish their political goals. We can't let that happen here. So, there's my opinion.
I haven't seen one single attempt to change the Constitution that wouldn't be something that was done out of the expediency of the people who proposed it, out of their sheer will to implement what they wanted to implement. There was no good faith attempt to improve on Constitution, so people would listen to you because you do not represent any agenda. You didn't come up with cockamamie scheme to change things to your favor in American life. It's just all of it is politics, all of it. There is no attempts on Democrat side to make something to improve people's lives. It's always like you were talking about the shelter. Mayor de Blasio wanted to open a shelter. I don't know if he opened. I haven't been to this area of the city for a long time. Right next to the Carnegie Center, Carnegie Hall. How does it come together? How an idea like that could come to a person's mind? The people who you want needles by the Carnegie Hall doorway. You want people drunk. You want we know how those shelters look in the city. And listen, we get the ingenuity on Mars. We got the helicopter flying on Mars these days, and we cannot figure out how to sit down with the homeless people. Okay, spend some money, spend some time, sit down with them, sort out the drug addicts from the crazies, from these unfortunate people and families and women and this and that. Just listen them, hear them out. What's their station? They are just huddled together as cattle into those
Because
buildings.
it's not meant to help the people. It's just self-serving. They're trying to achieve their political goals, and for ratings, for votes. They're punishing the wealthy, so it's punitive. There's censorship. This is the Democrat Party, right, that we have today, trying to tax the wealthy, so that people would think it's helping them. While taxing the wealthy doesn't help the middle class, right? Because what's happening in this city now, right? The wealthy have moved out, and what happens when the wealthy move out, right? The tax burden shifts to the middle class and the poor. And they're just banking on people not being educated enough, but people are not stupid. They know what's going on, which is why, by the way, Yuri, I've been walking the district for a long time, since the summer now, and I meet so many Democrats who tell me, I'm a Democrat, but I'm going to vote Republican because I'm sick and tired of what the Democrat Party is doing, and I'm sick and tired of them destroying our city, defunding the police. The streets are disgusting. These politicians are not doing anything for me. They're doing everything for themselves, and I'm done. And these are Democrats. These are people who have voted Democrat for years and now registered Democrats who are going to vote Republican in November.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
With all the promises that they made, it's amazing how people are still in poverty in the Democrat-led cities, and they are in the most disheveled condition. All those cities all over the country. Inna Vernikov, thank you so very much. We hope to carry you, vote for you, and make you our city council member this year. Give us the date when the election would take place.
My election is on November 2nd. They don't have a primary.
November 2nd. Fantastic. Listen, next time we meet, I want to give you a little homework. I will ask you of 3 things that you would do first when you get elected. First 3 things you would do in the district. Thank you so very much, Ms. Vernikov.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Yuri.
All right. All right. See you soon again.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.